All right, we are live on Las Vegas Triathlon Club Facebook page, and we are recording. I'm John Mercer, president of Las Vegas Triathlon Club, and I'm missing my counterpart tonight, Bob Gambo. He's out traveling a bit tonight, but we are here for our member spotlight tonight, and I'm really happy to have Dave Ellsworth on. So Dave has been a member of the Las Vegas Triathlon Club since 2017. He has been a big volunteer, a big help to BBSC races. He's done every distance of triathlon from sprint to Ironman. And we're going to hear a little bit about each of those. And probably his biggest accomplishment is doing that ride to Searchlight.
that was an adventure, we'll call it that. We think we titled our Strava ride 9 flats and a microphone just because you can't help but laugh about it. And we got 9 or 10 flats between the 10 people that went with us, and it was an adventure. Let's just say that. It was fun,
I feel bad because I think I encouraged all of you to do that ride. I actually love that ride, but it is notorious for eating up your tires. So
yeah. And we packed enough. Well, we thought we packed enough. Tubes and CO2. I blew a front at 3 miles. I blew another front at 6. And then at that 3 mile, Bob had a flat. Another guy had a flat. So 3 of us had flats right at the beginning of our ride. And then 6 miles and had another flat. And then just prayed the rest of the time I did not get another flat because, once I only had packed 2 tubes and CO2, and I was fortunate, but then, Bob ended up getting 2 flats and then he got a 3rd flat. And then while he was trying to fix his 3rd flat, his rear tire just blew. And Christina got a flat, and I think Yoshi even got a flat, but right at the end, of course, 2 miles at the end.
Man,
it was fun. So, a lot of debris on the road.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we were riding that route as a test route to see if we wanted to ride to the California border or not for 112 distance, but we're going to opt out of that route. For that ride.
I've never gotten that many flats in that ride, so that I think are just.
Well, I don't run gator skins either, so I'm thinking about it though.
Yeah, no, I do run some pretty beefy tires around here for training, and then I put my race wheels on. So but you know what, you have this in your blood in terms of getting through some tough races and taking on some big challenges, and that's all that was, and you got through it. So that's pretty cool.
And you can't help but laugh at it, right? You got to kind of laugh at yourself and apologize to those that you drug along with you, and just call it a day.
Well, you've got such a fun group to ride with, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how you got started in the sport. What was your first triathlon?
So my first triathlon was in 2016. I was going to a gym, Raw Fitness, with Frank Indelicate and Rick Stenjum, Kerry Fox. Those were my gym partners. And our trainer, one of our trainers, was like, "Hey, he did tries. He's done Ironmans. Like, hey, let's do hits. Hits in California, Palm Springs. Heard it's a great race. They have a half. They had every distance." And so I'm coming from a running background. Ran several half marathons, had been running for, a few years, 6-7 years at that point. And half marathon, I had built up to it, as you should. And I'm like, okay, so I'm looking at the distances. I didn't know much about triathlons other than it was, a swim and a bike and run, 3 different disciplines. So I'm like, looking at the distances, I'm like, oh, it's a 13.1 mile. I can do that. I'm like 56 miles. I'm like, biking is similar to running. I'm like, I got this. I'm like, fine. And then swimming, I'm like, I don't know how to swim. I obviously know how to swim, but not freestyle swim.
Yeah.
So that was a learning experience. And
Oh,
so training up for hits in December, mind you, water's
yep.
52, 53 degrees. Never been a swimmer. So that was going to be my first try at all, out of
Wow.
everything, just jumping straight into a half. And then thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I should practice transitions and maybe I should, practice all of this. So I did Pumpkin Man as my really like official first triathlon.
Okay. Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Pumpkin Man is your first one. Everything else after
Right.
that is a PR.
It's a, it's a breeze, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So you're targeting the 70.3, which is really, that's amazing that you're taking that on as your first challenge. But I am glad to hear that you signed up for a shorter race to do your first one. But you picked Pumpkin Man as your first one, which is notorious for one of the hardest races out there. So tell us
Yep.
about Pumpkin Man.
So Pumpkin Man, it was great actually. Um, First triathlon, swim went fine. I mean, as fine as it can. I think it was maybe 20, 25 minutes. Transition's great. And then, the Pumpkin Man course, it goes out on Lakeshore a little bit and then turns around and just climbs and climbs and climbs. And, I'm climbing forever. Never even rode that course and I'm dying.
Yeah.
But, and, people passing me and that's part of it, right? Is you pass people. It's a give and take a little bit. And then on the run, I remember seeing and just like thankful that I hit my run turnaround, that 1.5 turnaround. And I'm just like, I can't imagine at this point going another 1.5 miles to come back another 3 miles. So I'm very thankful that it was over at that point. And that Pumpkin Man run is easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
there's real no climbs. It's kind of just a rolling hill.
yeah.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah. No, you get to enjoy the run after that bike ride. So,
Yeah.
all right. So you finished that, and now what's going through your mind with hits Palm Springs around the corner?
Really nervous about the swim since I've heard it was so cold.
Okay.
And I'm not a strong swimmer. So looking at the course maps, bike was supposed to be flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
Um, and the run was flat as well. It was through like a ranch or something, but there ended up being a lot of flies and stinky. It was an adventure still.
Mm-hmm.
But that bike, they switched the course for that bike and it went, I don't know what canyon it was, but it went up a canyon. So we climbed what felt like 16 hours climbing up this giant mountain into like a canyon. Eventually we got to the end of that, turned around and went back home or back. The ride was great,
Yeah.
but I had never ridden that far before either. The most I had trained up to was like 50 miles, 45, 50 miles, and did several bricks and everything. But I would say that after, once I got to the run, it's fantastic. It was fine. Just knocked that out. But I would say that swim, I remember it was 2 laps around this reservoir that basically you could run the whole distance
That's
because
right.
it was shallow.
Yeah.
That second lap round, my hands just felt like they were bricks and swimming. And I think I swam over a dead body or a log or something, but you can't see an inch in front of your face. So you just keep going.
Oh.
And yeah, and it was an interesting race. People were coming out of that water hypothermic. And we had a good crew there. Rick, again, was there. Frank was there. Carrie was there. A bunch of our friends were there. We all got a house. It was a great time. And that's kind of what got me into tries as well, is the community aspect, and I love that aspect of it probably the most. Racing is fun, it's self-rewarding, but the community part and being with friends and being with family, that's probably what I love the most about triathlons.
Well, and it is fun to go with a group and travel to a race and like you said, get a house and just it's fun. And then you get to suffer together and
Right,
celebrate together.
right, exactly.
That's awesome. So, what did you do between Pumpkin Man and the half? I mean, I'm still shocked that you did the half as now really your second race. I mean, okay, so
So
maybe
Pumpkin Man's
well,
at end of October, right? I think Hits was beginning of December. So
yeah,
it's kind of like peak training and then to taper.
yeah,
And we did a couple rides out north 95. My running, still keeping up with my running. Swimming was challenging
yeah.
because I never swam before. And I remember very distinctly at Pavilion Pools, and I was with Rick at one point, and we were swimming just, the length of a pool and just being out of breath and
Yeah.
just like, how are we ever going to do this? Like,
Mhm.
I don't even know how. But, eventually you figure out your breathing and you figure it out. And so I guess a takeaway really to that is while I jumped into a half not knowing what I was getting myself into, but at the same time, you can really do it. Like anybody can do it. Um, I lean back on my running experience just because I had that running in my back pocket. So I know once I got on my shoes
Mhm.
and run, I'd be fine. If anything, you could walk it, right? Like swimming, if you stop swimming, you're just going to sit there. You're not moving forward. With
Yeah.
biking, you can take breaks a little bit. You can rest.
Yeah.
And running, if anything, you can walk. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's ultimately what, you end up walking and running a lot
Yeah.
at any race.
Yeah. Well,
Well, at least I do. I mean, I'm just a age group guy. I'm not
no, that's
even
awesome. No,
podium or anything, but really it's like anybody, right? Anybody can.
well, I love it because I mean that's really a great perspective. Is you're setting up yourself for success, and you're saying, okay, here's the plan I'm gonna take to be successful and get across that finish line. I mean that
Right.
is so super smart, and it's really a great approach. So tell me what the finish line was like for that half.
It was around the setup was it was around I don't know, it was like a rodeo field is what I remember. So it was all in that really like soft dirt.
Yeah.
So it was just a lap around and ending there. And I just remember crossing that finish line and just being like, thank you, it's over.
Oh,
Um, and our friends were there, they were cheering us on. It took, I think I finished it in 6.5 or 7 hours. I don't even
that's
really
great.
remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it was a great feeling knowing that, coming from really not ever doing a try before
Yeah.
to doing a half, yeah, it felt great. And then having friends and family cheering you on. And I mean, like I said, that's probably what I love the most
Oh,
is
that's
in
great.
encouraging others and
Yeah.
others encouraging you.
No, that's the community part of it, and you're a big part of the community, and great to have that with you at that experience. All right, so you finished the 70.3. What's going through your mind, and what did that lead you to do next?
So my thought 70.3 is I can't even imagine doing double that. Like there's no way, not possible.
So
Like not,
Ironman was already on your radar?
no,
No,
like
okay,
no,
all right.
like at that point, my first race, like I felt sorry for the guys ultimately that had to do 2 laps of that bike race or 4 laps of that run, and it was just like I am just glad I'm done.
Yeah,
I can't imagine doing it. So at that point, like I'm glad I'm done. Half like full, like I don't know. Probably never. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
So what happened?
So,
Because you did, I mean, kind of up to the chase
so
here.
I have bad friends,
Yeah.
and they talk me into doing these crazy things like, hey, I want to do a full, like, let's do a full, like, it'll be fun. Like,
Yeah.
let's all jump in and do this full. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, like, I love the community aspect of
Yeah.
the triathlons. And I love seeing people out on the course. I love cheering people on. I love not racing and just Sherpa-ing and, cheering those on. So fast forward to IMAS 2018, we're registering for it in November of 2017.
Okay.
And so we all signed up, like Brian Weber, Kerry Fox, and
Oh.
Ryan and Crystal Taylor and Corbin and Rick and Frank. So like we're all going in. We're going in. We're doing this.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. You did Pumpkin Man. You hadn't done your 70.3 at this point. You're registering for the fall.
No, because that
Oh,
was
but
in
you're off.
2016. So fast forward
Got
a
it.
year.
Okay. All right. All
A
right.
year.
So, okay, good. My timeline was messed up, but
Yeah.
I can see it. All right. So
Yep.
you're
So another
all,
year goes by.
You're all trying to get into Ironman Arizona at that point. Okay.
Yep. Got Tri Club priority registration.
Yeah.
We're good. We're like, it's going to be a one and done thing.
Yeah.
Like never again. It's a bucket list. We're going to check it off and be done. And that was a great race. Like I really enjoyed it. It was amazing to really kind of look back and reflect, and like I actually did that. Like,
Yeah.
granted, I mean, I walked easy half of that full marathon at the end. And you're finishing in the dark and finishing late at night. And I'm not anywhere near podium. I'm just trying to finish. But I ended up meeting some people on course.
Yeah.
I ended up, running into my friends that we just kind of pushed each other and carried each other through the rest of the race.
That is awesome. Yeah. And, I think those races, who cares about place? It's really the accomplishment. And
Right.
And I've showed that type of experience too, where, sometimes when you're all sort of suffering or where you're just enjoying being out, you get to meet some neat people and share that experience with them. So
you have those, I guess, opening moments or these vulnerable moments with perfectly good strangers that you end up talking with and like becoming best friends with those people kind of during that race. And you really, I mean, you're there for them and therefore there for you. And then when you're in your dark moments on any race and you're in your head, you run across a friend, you run across a family. My family ended up surprising me there on the run, which they weren't planning to be there. So my kids, four of my kids were there, and my wife, and seeing them on the run, it's kind of like, wow, yeah, it was a great moment too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's emotional. That's great.
Especially, not knowing that they were going to be there.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, and everyone who does that, you're an athlete, and the testament of your hard work to get there to the start line, and then your fortitude to go through the race. I mean, that is so impressive, and it's great to look back and say you did it, and then you had your family there. I would imagine a few tears were shed as well, because those times can get really emotional.
Yeah, most definitely. Yep.
Well, that's great. So you celebrated the finish line of Arizona.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Never wanting to do that race again. But then, like I said, I have bad friends.
So what have your bad friends convinced you to do next?
So, not
Team
IMAS.
bad decision
thankfully.
here. Yeah.
Yes, team bad decisions. Not IMAS, thankfully. So Crystal Taylor and Corbin Tonti, they were part of our crew that were doing IMAZ.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, they got pulled at one point or another during the race. So we need to do a redemption race for them.
Awesome.
And then for Christina Gruber and Jill Ashworth and Belinda, my wife, they've never done a full. So it's like, all right, we're going to come all full circle. We'll come out of retirement just to do this race. So
I love it.
hopefully we can get all in and register for Ironman California, hopefully in October of 2021.
Okay.
If it still happens, if there's still open slots because of everything being postponed,
Yep.
and the way that the world has been in 2020, that it might simply just be sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, all the deferrals. I mean, that race is on the list and others. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But that is awesome though. And I love the redemption race because I've had DNFs in these races and they happen. And I really think that's part of maturing as an athlete is, you do get hit with it. It's humbling. So that's neat that you're there to support them at the same time as making your bad decision and signing up.
I mean, I did my one. I'm good. But I'll certainly, go and race. And I wouldn't do it at this point just by myself. Like I'm the kind of person that thrives off of friends and family and being with friends and family. And ultimately that's what's coming out of retirement to do Ironman California.
Oh, I love it. So I know in 2019, we talked a little bit before this, then you spent some time helping to run the BBSC races. And I think that's really admirable and that's great that you help put these races on. What's it like being a volunteer and watching athletes?
So running those courses with BBSC, running setup the day before and take down the day after, and then being on course as either run coordinator or bike coordinator and seeing all the behind the scenes, right, about what really goes on and puts on a race, to timing mats, to cones here, to signs, to making sure, we have a turn left here and mile marker here and turn around here. I really enjoy being out on the course and seeing all the other athletes come through. Ultimately, like on the race, if I'm bike or run, I don't get to see everybody since it's so spanned across some time frames and distances, right? Mm-hmm. But I do see a majority of the people. So all of my friends and I see a lot of the same athletes and cheering them on and making sure I see, the first athletes come through. We're there when the last athletes come through. I really enjoy that aspect of it, from working the race and being a part of the race and kind of giving back to the community and the sport that I enjoy, and getting other people to see what it is. Because kind of you don't really see what a triathlon is until you experience a triathlon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. And I, as an athlete, you see the race one way, but you only see that little bubble that's around you. But when you're a volunteer, you see all different types of people doing the race and all different things.
Yeah. And that's what's exciting too, is like you see, I don't know how to say this politely, but when at a triathlon, you see all different shapes and sizes of people that you would never think, not trying to be judgmental, but you would never think that they were out here training it and they're putting in the work and they're getting it done to handle in triathlons. Like everybody from children, like little Joey, to 80-year-old, 90-year-old people doing triathlons, and they might not be the fastest, or they might be the fastest, the younger side, but they're out there enjoying it and kicking butt.
No, that's right. I mean, it's a lifestyle, and you're right. It's all different types of people, shapes, sizes, ages. It's really, and it is neat to see how many, different types of people do these races, and it is motivating too. And everyone's an athlete. I mean, you cross that finish line, or you try to cross that finish line. I mean, that you're still taking it on, and that, mad respect for that.
Well, right. And it's just kind of, I mean, signing up for it and registering it for it and training for it, that's the battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The race is the celebration. That's the end. That's the end goal. And whether you finish or not, you trained up and you gave it as much as you can. And more so, really, if you DNF out, you gave it all you got. Like that's all you can give.
So in watching volunteering for the races and seeing the athletes go through and doing races yourself and starting with Pumpkin Man, which is that's admirable. That's awesome. What lessons have you picked up by watching folks go through a race?
I guess not to take things too serious.
Yeah.
And really, I did my first half on a $300 bike.
Yeah.
And, you don't need expensive equipment. I mean, it's fancy, it looks nice, it smells nice, it's shiny. But really, like, you don't need all of that. It gives you marginal gains on some things. But really just don't take things too seriously, and kind of have to just laugh at yourself and laugh at all the stupid things that you do, like riding out to Searchlight with only 2 tubes.
Yeah, well, you gotta pick different people to listen to other than me, because I still
or not running gator skins like you had said, and you had said that. I'll give you that.
Well, I love that message, because triathlon does have this image of having lots of barriers to getting involved, and people want the fastest, latest equipment. But in reality, you just need a bike. You just need goggles. You just need a pair of running shoes and enjoy it, because once you do it, it is amazing how much fun it is. Yeah. And then even going back and doing the training. I mean, you really seem to have a lot of fun when you're training, especially with your group. I mean, you guys do really a great job of sort of pulling everybody together and pulling each other along and pushing each other up. And that's really, that's what it's about. I mean, that's great.
That's what I probably love the most about it is just the community aspect of it. And while running, like, I came from being a runner, came from running. We started, and that story is a different story, but started running. And then, like I said, like, oh, I could do this half, but running isn't the same as triathlon. Triathlon is a different breed of people, really. It takes, I don't know, maybe more screws loose in their head, that people enjoy being terrible at 3 different sports and not excelling at one. I don't know what it is, but I certainly enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. Well, Dave, this has been great to talk with you. I told you I'd keep you about 30 minutes, and we're there. And this is just so much fun to chat with you and learn more about your history in the sport and your perspective. And I love your perspective. I mean, just, don't take things too seriously. Enjoy it. Enjoy the community and be part of the community. And you are a big part of it. So it's really great to have you on this member spotlight. So thanks for doing this.
I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. And we will meet up, and I will get you out on Searchlight one time, and we will not get 9 flats.
I'm putting my gator skins on if I do.
Yeah, totally. All right, Dave. Hey, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. Bye.